Hi tribe. I just want to preface the start of this video. This whole podcast, parts 1 and parts 2, because it simply became so very long, has been an absolute labour of love that has taken me, I want to say, the best part of 2 weeks. So apologies that it's taken me quite so long to do this, but I'm doing this in between work hours. I'm running my own business, single parent, you know the drill. I love contributing in this way. It's been an absolute joy to learn so many skills in terms of editing and all the rest of it, and using Canva, to the technically illiterate that I was 2 weeks ago. It's been a journey. So there's 2 parts to this pod. One will come out today, the other will come out tomorrow, and then I'm really hoping that I have the time and the tenacity to get something ready for next week as well about space weather and how that interacts with our energetic and physical bodies. So guys, if you like the pod, please help it grow. Like, share, subscribe, all of that kind of stuff. Also, if you would want to help me keep learning, keep growing, I have a couple of courses that I'm looking to take next year. In fact, I've got about 2 years worth of learning ahead of me that will give me kind of a good degree qualification in energy healing. If you want to contribute to helping me get those courses under my belt, then please go to my bio and find my GoFundMe link. Thank you so much and enjoy the pod. Welcome, truth seekers, to the next episode of the OnPod with me, Jenna, where we deep dive into the physical, metaphysical, and bridge the gap between medicine and mystery. I'm guessing you're here because of the title, and I do want to dedicate the whole of today's pod to the wildly popular topic of manifestation and debunk it, controversially, because I feel like it's information overload on the manifestation game at the moment. We're all spending a lot of money, time and energy. It's all over YouTube. It's absolutely everywhere. If this fickle subject has been the brunt of your frustrations, then stay tuned. There is a nugget of gold in here for you. And as always, if you feel called, please like, share and subscribe to help the channel grow. It's very much appreciated. So back to manifestation. I have taken some time to investigate how this energetic phenomenon and billion-dollar industry is flooding the wellness market and constantly feeding us a barrage of information and dopamine-fueled shorts about success stories. What I take from this is 1, people are manifesting amazing things, which is just brilliant and inspirational. The second thing I'm taking from this, the clickbait doesn't give you the backstory. Call me cynical if you will, I am. So the first stop of me thinking about this topic was to look at my own life. And I've decided that as we're approaching the tail end of 2025, it was wise to see what and how I've manifested positive change in my life. And did these even relate to the ideas percolating around my brain in January? To be honest, December last year I did my first plant medicine journey, and that humbled me big time. Yeah. It took me 4 years to work up the courage to go and do it, and I can understand why. It was tough. The one thing I did promise myself, however, was to dedicate this coming year to myself. No more dating. 2024 was hilariously bad, and actually the perfect example of how not to manifest. Or more accurately, what happens when you manifest from a wounded place? All of that to come. But secondly, I realised that at the end of January, when my father nearly died, it sent me on a journey into grief that I didn't know that I needed to go. And whilst he is literally a cat with not just 9 but seemingly 100 lives, thank God, and amazingly back home, this journey into darkness that I went on was not in vain. Far from it. I think it was utterly crucial to manifesting so much opportunity into my life. And 2025 really has been the most transformational year of my life so far. But I do appreciate this navel gazing hasn't really given anyone else any insight into manifesting. So let's break down what I've realised. Manifesting happens every single day of our lives, but it isn't a linear process. As in, it's an energetic state that you have to cultivate and nurture to fulfill your desire. Also, very interesting insight into what happens if you've manifested your dream and it's disappeared as quickly as it came. I will explain why this happens and what you can do about it. The next thing, manifestations are wildly unpredictable. Because we are. Our manifestations are a reflection of our emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual stability, our core vibrational frequency. We're going to talk a lot about this. Super important. Now, this next one is amazing. Resistance is the block to bringing in what you want. But do you even know you're in resistance? This is a game changer. Manifestations are a representation of energy made real. But what does your body have to do with this? You know, here on the channel, I will be talking a lot about how our physicality and our energetic states interact and are hugely influenced by each other. I will explain this later. And finally, the process of manifestation is as old as mankind, and there have been ancient texts written, carved, and sung about it for millennia. The best-selling manifestation book of all time is, of course, the Bible. Jesus, Mr. Abundance and Master Manifester, was showing us all how to do this 2,000 years ago. But it's not just Jesus. Every religious text has a similar story to tell in its pages. So why are we banging on about it so much now? And this bit is the bit that I love. Because we, the human race of Earth, have been repressed for millennia into becoming servants to an unknown God called government and societal control and coercion. And the human race finally wants out. Why do you think the world is going to hell so rapidly? It's because our wonderful, silent, loving human rebellion of homeschooling, homesteading, entrepreneuring and liberating ourselves from a dystopian and oppressive matrix is giving the dark forces known to some as the elite some serious cause for concern. So they're up in the ante. And don't worry, I'm not going to get into all of the hideous global politicking right now. It is causing mass anxiety and collective consciousness, which is why it's so amazing that the manifestation movement is signalling to everyone that the freedom for each man, woman, child can be sovereign unto themselves. And this is the way forward. Even more good news, the universe is all for it. In fact, as we are talking about a quantum energetic process in action after all, we need to understand that the universe has these incredible universal laws that support this function. It gives us the whole picture, not just the clickbait. So here goes my own personal perception on what it takes to really manifest the life you've always dreamed about. There are 7 universal laws. 7 is a very spiritual number. There are no coincidences in life. So let's get into law number 1. Here we go. Law number 1, the law of attraction. Focused thoughts and feelings attract similar energies into your life. I would say that if you were going to ask anybody about manifestation, they would say that manifestation was the law of attraction, where you get into a really embodied state of daydreaming. So you're really living in that moment, visualizing, touching, feeling, tasting as much as you can, living that life with all of those things present. And it's a really powerful concept. Joe Dispenza talks a lot about this because he's done loads of research in terms of the heart-brain coherence. And when we are in those elevated heart states, our brain is in coherence, and that creates a really powerful energetic symmetry with those 2 brain centers. And that allows us to emit a really powerful vibration. One of the drawbacks, I personally think, is whilst, yes, absolutely, the law of attraction is very powerful, if you aren't sustaining that wonderful, elevated emotional state significantly in your life, in your daytime, for the amount of hours that you're awake, that you are holding that vibration, you are not going to attract that necessarily quickly into your life. So whilst Dr. Joe is absolutely correct that that is a really powerful way to bring manifestations into your life, I think it should be made very clear that you have to get to a stage in your daily life where you're in control of your emotions, you've mastered your triggers, you are making sure that you are in a high vibrational state in terms of just enjoying life. You are able to handle challenges well. You can try and see the positives in negative situations. It's not toxic positivity. It's just being able to weather the storm without being drowned by your emotions. If you can't do that, the likelihood is your dominant vibration is not going to be that of your manifestation, or it would be with you already, and therefore you won't be attracting at that level. The good news with this is that the more you get into that elevated state, the more you hold that elevated state for whatever reason throughout your day, the less resistance there is going to be, and the easier it is for those manifestations to come in. So yes, the law of attraction is supremely powerful, but there's lots more involved than just being able to hold this elevated state. One of the things it's really, really important to remember in the law of attraction is that the law of attraction, as with all universal laws, works on our dominant vibrational frequency and will be and can be impacted by free will. Free will is the number one operating force in the universe. It's the difference between fate and destiny. So you can say something's fated, it will definitely happen. But actually destiny is probably more likely. So destiny is the opportunity for something to happen as long as the participants all go along with the plan. You can at any time change your mind about what it is that you want to manifest. Change your mind about that person, thing, place. The likelihood is, as soon as you do change your mind about it, you're going to lose all resistance and it's going to come on in anyway. And that is the beautiful irony about resistance. We will come on to that later. One of the things it's really, really important to remember in the law of attraction is that the law of attraction, as with all universal laws, works on our dominant vibrational frequency and will be and can be impacted by free will. Free will is the number one operating force in the universe. It's the difference between fate and destiny. So you can say something's fated, it will definitely happen. But actually destiny is probably more likely. So destiny is the opportunity for something to happen as long as the participants all go along with the plan. You can at any time change your mind about what it is that you want to manifest. Change your mind about that person, thing, place. The likelihood is, as soon as you do change your mind about it, you're going to lose all resistance and it's going to come on in anyway. And that is the beautiful irony about resistance. We will come on to that later. So here we have law number 2, the law of correspondence. As within, so without. The internal world of your thoughts, beliefs and emotions is reflected in your external reality. The law of correspondence, I feel, is a bit of a reality check, because the law of correspondence basically holds up a mirror and says, this is who you are right now in your most dominant vibrational frequency. This is what's manifesting in your life. If you don't like it, you need to look inside rather than outside for the change. As within, so without. And this is one of the first universal laws that I think really brings it home, that we have to do an inside job if we want to get into that vibrational frequency, that dominant vibrational frequency that gets us the things that we want and the life that we want to live. Another really important factor into the law of correspondence is if you've had a little life audit and you're looking at it thinking, yeah, this isn't so great. It's also an opportunity for you to cut through the bullshit of your own lies to yourself and say, right, if I want to be this person doing this thing, and I'm right here, right now doing this and being this person, how do I get there? What are the steps that I need to take in order for the law of correspondence to bring me what I want? Subconsciously, 95% of our day is not in our own conscious thinking mind. The subconscious has control of it and is running amok. So if you aren't thinking about seriously taking a look inward and understanding what it is that your subconscious is trying to tell you through your behaviors, through the patterns of your life, then the likelihood is the law of attraction will just keep bringing you more of what you don't want, and the law of correspondence will back it up and say, this is where you are, this is what you're getting. So these laws are neutral. They're not good, they're not bad. They will simply reflect and mirror you in your most dominant core vibration. Now we get to law number 3, the law of action. Thoughts alone are not enough. You must take inspired action to make them a reality. I love this. As an Arian Sun, Mercury, Venus and South Node, I'm all for taking a bit of action. Makes me feel like I'm in control. And yes, manifesting requires elbow grease every single day. If you're really into making this happen, into making your biggest, bestest dream life a reality, you've got to start thinking about change and taking action and making small steps into that change. Otherwise, you're going to be flinging yourself from pillar to post and getting more confused, and the other universal laws are going to keep delivering what you don't want. So one of the key themes here is inspired action in the law of action. Inspired action is basically a form of intuition. So your intuition is like a muscle. We all have it. Every single one of us humans was born with it pre-programmed into our standard issue kit. I always say when I'm talking about bodies to people in my sessions, we were all issued standard kit, but the way that we're wired is bespoke. And this is exactly what our intuition is part of. How your intuition works for you is completely unique. And getting to grips with understanding those intuitive nudges, signs, synchronicities, downloads, how the universe is conspiring with you, not against you, is going to be key to making the law of action work in your favor the most. So what does that look like? So for me, inspired action has taken place quite a few times this week. I've been trying to do this pod on and off for about a week. I've been recording it after my son's gone to bed, and I was trying to edit it, and this is all new to me, so it's exceptionally challenging and takes a lot of brain power. And I was listening to it yesterday and I just thought, Jenna, it's a load of crap, stop. And so today I was actually in a healing with a client, and then all of this information just downloaded that was going to make this pod so much better that I'm literally re-recording it now, and I'm already feeling more inspired. It's flowing better. And this is where we don't just crank out some action for the sake of it. It's where we actually listen to the guidance that comes through in the stillness. The guidance that comes through while you're taking a shower, while you're on the toilet, while you're waiting in the queue at Tesco's. All those moments where you just allow your mind to drift, to not have any purpose, to not have any agenda, just to be in that little sacred moment of stillness is usually when the eureka moment hits. So that's what inspired action is, and that's how it's different to just showing up and doing the grind day after day. Can you get results from this? Absolutely. I'm not saying you can't, but inspired action gets you there so much quicker, and it's way more enjoyable. Not saying that you won't repeat yourself like I have 3 times this week. 3rd time lucky for the podcast, loving it. The other thing that I want to talk about in terms of inspired action is our alignment. And this is when our physical bodies start to get involved in the concept of manifestation. Manifestation itself, as I've said before, is a quantum energy process. So it's all to do with your energetic field. And that has 7 layers within it that correspond to the 7 internal chakras that we have. We have way more layers and way more chakras, but I'm not going to confuse the issue. Alignment helps you listen to your intuition, receive your intuition, and take action on it. What does alignment even mean? Basically, it all lines up. So if you think that the 7 chakras in your body, your energy centers, let's call them, are energy vortices that operate along your spinal column. So your central power channel starts at the top of your head, where we call the crown chakra, and that goes all the way down your neck into your spine, through right down to the perineum, where you have your root chakra. The crown and the root vibrate upwards and downwards respectively, and then the other 5 chakras sit on various places on your spinal column and extend forwards and backwards in an energetic vortex. So when these energy centers get cluttered up with trauma, addictions, bad habits, thought patterns, all these other things that happen to us over time and over the course of our lives, this is when our chakra system can get way out of alignment. When we're living in a wounded place, so when our chakras, our energy centers aren't nice and clean and clear and vibrating beautifully, we can have serious gaps in our existence. So for example, you might have the love of your life, but you can't make money for toffee. Or you may have, at the other end of the spectrum, serious wads of cash, but love escapes you. And that's all to do with where the wounding is sitting in your physical body and in your energy body, and what that's blocking. And that's where it starts to get technical. That's where your body starts to get involved in this whole process, is understanding that when we start to take it out of an energetic form, like the law of attraction, the law of compensation, and we bring it into a 3D form in the law of action, where we have to actually get off our backsides and go and do something and change something. This is when the state of our body and our energy field is crucial. And this is where we have to take a good old look inside and start to understand what symptoms do we get, what physical symptoms do we get that may signify we have an out of aligned chakra or a blocked chakra. For example, if you get loads of headaches, it could be that your third eye is blocked. If you have gut issues, it could be that your solar plexus is blocked, and that's your relationship with yourself. So if you have, acid reflux, it may be because you have a really acidic, brutal way of dealing with yourself and managing stress, and a really harsh inner critic. There are some really incredible anomalies between physical symptoms and chakra misalignments, and how once we work on our chakras, our physical symptoms can dissipate, and it can also get us back onto feeling more positive, and then all of a sudden we're getting back to these energetic forms of laws, and they're starting to work in our favor. A final note to add on this: if you really are into getting somewhere with your manifestations, a really useful resource for me was Abraham Hicks. They talk at length and she's hilarious. So go and check this out. She's all over YouTube. There are books, CDs, DVDs, everything that you could possibly imagine to purchase if you want to do that, or just go get it for free. That's what I'd choose. And we come to the end of part 1. You'll be able to get part 2 tomorrow, guys. So make sure that you like, share, subscribe, hit the notifications button, and you will be notified when part 2 goes live. And if you're catching this after the 8th of November, then you will be able to dive straight in. So go find part 2 and enjoy.